Welcome back to Have You Heard, the social media podcast by us here at The Social Shepherd, where we tell you everything you need to know about social if you work in digital marketing. My name is Zoe. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO here at The Social Shepherd, and today I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Barney, Senior Account Director at The Social Shepherd.
And...
I'm Sam, and I'm account manager at The Social Shepherd.
It's a client services takeover today.
I'm also not sure which camera. There's like 4 cameras now.
You're there.
I'm this one. I
I'm
thought
there.
so. Yeah.
Sam's
Over
there.
here.
That's why.
It's gone up in the world. Love it.
Cool. Well, look, let's get straight stuck into the updates of the week. So Instagram will now enable you to add 20 audio tracks to Reels. I don't know if I want to add 20 audio tracks to a Reel.
It feels like quite a lot.
It's quite heavy.
I think the subline of that is that allows you to become a DJ, right? It's sort of giving you the
The
freedom.
rise of Instagram DJs is coming, for
I'm not
sure.
who's expecting what to happen from this update.
Yeah.
But I did have a thought about this previously, which I've noted down. I think what I've learned about social media platforms is that creators always find the best way to utilize the functionality.
Yeah.
So even though we're thinking, well, how on earth are you going to use 20 tracks in your reel? I think we'll see quite kind of left field executions happening in the future where people do use it in a really interesting way.
Do you know what I could see happening? So you know the way you do get DJ influencers on TikTok and they'll remix stuff and it goes viral. Everyone's like, please put this on Spotify. And everyone's like begging for it. What I could see people doing is I don't think they'll mix it in the platform. That's going to be too messy. No. But you know, whenever you upload a track and then you put an in-platform track on it, but you mute it and you keep the sound from the original, so you get the creditation that it's from these other bits of music. I could see people doing that because that's going to help the algorithm reach more people because they're utilizing sounds that people are listening to.
They're going to sort of hack the system to be more discoverable.
Yeah. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
So if you're a DJ, do that.
Yeah, interesting. Like that.
TikTok has announced a new Eventbrite integration. So they're working towards everything app. So it's true, they're trying to dominate commerce basically. And I think this is an interesting one. We talked about it last week with Imogen and Sarah, I believe. We were talking about like TikTok Shop, and at the minute it's very product focused. It's giving Temu. But do we think it'll get to a point where people are, now we went a step further, like holidays, will people book holidays on there? Not sure about that, but I could see people booking concert tickets on there.
Absolutely. It's definitely, I think it lends itself to a live event platform in terms of kind of that Ticketbrite integration makes a lot of sense. I think it kind of does show that in general, their appetite and their ambition is much bigger than what it was. You know, and they've moved so far away from just being a social content consumption channel. It is so much more than that now. And I think this is an interesting one to watch in terms of the doors it's going to open for, I think, not just, live event marketers. I think if you're doing any kind of brand or product, real life event, this is going to be a really interesting update for you to be, looking at.
I think it's really interesting because it kind of takes me back to, so I don't know if anyone knows this, but before Jack and I started the agency, Jack had an events business that I temporarily worked in. That is not how we met. I just want to clarify. But that was all Facebook groups back then. And it was like, that was the thing that the 18 and 19-year-olds were on. It was Facebook groups. No, they weren't purchasing the tickets through the platform that was going through to Eventbrite after that. But it's like a smarter integration of that. And if you could think about, like, if you were throwing a freshers event or a student-focused event, that audience is on TikTok. That's where their attention is. If they don't even have to leave the platform to book for that, that's
the point,
amazing.
Right? That's the point. You're taking away that step. You're saying, book it immediately right here, rather than saying, go to this website, put this link in. It's just that kind of reducing the kind of blockers. That's what they're doing, which is really clever.
And from an attribution perspective, social commerce makes everything so much easier because we don't have the issue with cookies. We know exactly what revenue has come from that platform. So I really can see social commerce being so much bigger. And we are getting so many big brands coming to us being like, help us navigate this. So I'm really excited, but I think that's a really good move for TikTok.
Yeah, very interesting.
Pinterest AI backgrounds. So Pinterest Canvas model aims to provide generated options for product backgrounds without altering the product shot itself as the main focus. This is very similar to what Meta have done, actually.
I think this whole thing is mad. Like it's kind
You're
of.
not an AI fan.
AI is so interesting.
Coming for your
and
job, Barney.
I know. Well, no, not exactly, but I think it does show the way the world is moving. And I think what's really interesting to me is there are parallels between what happened to the music industry in 2005, 2006 with streaming, and kind of what happened in terms of the value of work and the value that we put on people's work. I think what's interesting about this is it's another step towards creative AI taking jobs or taking work from creatives, as in people. And that's really interesting. I mean, it is happening, right? We can't stop it. But I think my sort of, initial take on it is, will it start to devalue the work of a creative director or, that person who would have ordinarily set up that scene and that background and styled it and propped it? That work, that job is redundant now. If you can tell AI and on Pinterest to create the perfect background with all these different elements, you don't need an art director.
So caveat to that. So I've had too many conversations about AI this week, to be entirely honest. But specialists, and I'm dubious about this statement, say that within the next 2 years, 70% of the content that we see from brands on social is going to be AI. Yeah. However, the platforms are going to be caveating that it has been generated with AI in mind. So consumer trust is just going to go to the floor, basically, because we don't trust AI as much as we trust consumers. We trust actual people. And I don't think that's ever... That's going to take years to change, if that ever is going to change, to be entirely honest.
It'll be generational, because our generation is so skeptical of everything we see, right? And I think the next generation, they're going to grow up in a world where AI is their norm everywhere, and it will be the norm. So, and
we'll be like the old people that we look to now, and we're like, you don't get social, and they're like, you don't get AI.
Yeah, exactly.
But my point there is that we've gone through this time on social where everything has been about quantity over quality for a little bit, and that has kind of, the traditional creative trying to find a space in the world for that skill set is quite hard. Now, we found a really nice middle ground of creative and social, and the two absolutely coexist together. It's just creatives need to have that knowledge of it. But what I do think it's going to do is it might kind of take away that quantity approach, and what AI might do is that might tackle the quantity. And then the quality comes back to the creatives. And really, for that 30%, I'm in quotation marks, I'm dubious about it, of content that isn't going to be AI driven, that just needs to be the best of the best of the best. And what might happen is, because I do think that social agencies have almost devalued their creativity a little bit because of this quantity issue. Whereas like you look at like one TV ad, people will pump millions into that one asset and they'll pay to get people to look at it. Whereas on social, you might pump maximum $5,000 into an asset, and then you don't even have to pay to get people to look at it if it's good enough content. But I think the whole thing with AI is that it will enable social to find its feet a little bit more in terms of being able to focus on the quality of output.
So you're seeing AI almost filling that kind of always on function where it kind of keeps things ticking along. The content's okay, it's good quality, but it's not necessarily creatively astonishing or as thumb stopping. And then the creative agency and social agency role is to be that kind of thumb stopping.
I think so. I think the only thing that's an issue to that is, like I see it being A/B testing. Like if you want to A/B test different background versus this product up here, product down here, you're not going to need a person to create those 5 images that are needed for that ABCDE test or whatever it is. You could get AI to do that. However, at the minute, that comes with this image has been generated by AI. And so really, are people going to warm to that?
Well, exactly.
Or do we get to a point where that drops off? And then I think you can truly use it to fill your quantity.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they police that and how they label those posts, because at the start they have to be really explicit, but I'm assuming that over the years to come that will get kind of minimized and it'll just become
very small print.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Pinterest is it's an aesthetic platform, isn't it? The imagery needs to look good, and I think if AI is the way to do that, then it'd be silly not to use it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's a really missed opportunity at the minute. People aren't really... This AI thing is there. It will get picked up over time. It's not really being picked up just yet, although we will talk about SheerLuxe in a second. I think there's such a missed opportunity for people to do like funny AI stuff, like AI fails and stuff. Like I haven't seen brands really like tapping into it as best as they could do.
Yeah,
I think some explorative creative work next week.
Yeah, we should just to have a week just to be fails on AI. I think it comes back to brands being really conscious of their identity and their image and not wanting to kind of pollute it yet. I think some brands are more willing to kind of take risks. We talk about the likes of Ryanair and those kind of brands that are willing to look a little bit silly or do something about there. And I think there's only a handful of brands who are doing that at the moment. And I think AI is still such an unknown that I think it will start to become more commonplace, but it's going to be interesting to see how brands utilize it.
Yeah, 100%. Another AI update. So YouTube AI generated radio stations. So YouTube is currently testing with YouTube Music to try a new radio station option that allows users to describe what they want to hear, and AI comes up with the best mix for the user. This isn't actually that groundbreaking because you do that. Spotify does this for you already.
This is not new.
No.
I mean, I think this is the one of all of the updates that I think I'm in favour of. I'm not in favour of the other updates, but I think this makes sense. I think, like you say, Spotify have been doing it for years. YouTube. My only thought on this really is that it feels like YouTube are behind the curve. It's already established on other platforms. It doesn't really shift the dial for them.
I'm confused about because on YouTube they have suggested for you, so they're already using AI to look at your interests and suggest things. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, confused. Next one is a YouTube update too. So YouTube is testing Reddit-like community spaces feature. And I love this. I love Reddit so much. I'm getting them into the office. They're coming to do a talk to us. I just love it. And
this is really interesting.
Yeah.
This is really interesting.
Reddit recently went public and it's performing so much better as a company than people expected it to.
So is it an integration with Reddit, or is it like a Reddit-like addition to the platform?
It's Reddit-like, so it's not an integration with Reddit. But I love, actually, I'm all for Reddit owning that space, but I like the functionality of it. So I think if YouTube can do it,
it's really interesting though. I feel like this is for a platform that's so traditionally invested in long form content to go to text and have a sort of Reddit-like, forum space for people. I think it's really interesting. It says a lot about the space they're losing with other platforms, and they're trying to foster this engaged community, right? That's what they're trying to do, and obviously it isn't working with the current model because of TikTok and the other platforms that are kind of coming up and the functionality that's changing. So
I think it's an opportunity they're seeing because Reddit has been a little bit of a quiet whisper of a buzzword recently, and it's only really coming up through the ranks. But I was speaking to a client about this the other day, about how all the social platforms are adapting, and gone are the days of the social platforms, or what I thought was them trying to be a one-stop shop. Instagram have now said they're not going after the long-form game. That's not what they want to be. They want to be focused on community. Great. Stay in your box. Be the best possible thing that you can be in your box. TikTok is this entertainment platform. YouTube is your long-form platform. Then you've got your Reddits and your up-and-coming community builders. Consumers actually want that. They want to know, I'm going to this platform for this reason. This is what I want to see. I don't think the platform should necessarily be focusing on trying to be everything for everyone. They should be the best at what they can be for the people.
Do you think this is going to work for YouTube?
No, I think I'm for Reddit. I prefer Reddit. Or Quora, for example. That's underrated as well. No one ever talks about that.
The reality is, right, if you're that way inclined and you use Reddit and you are, have been, let's face it, Reddit's been around for a long time. If you use Reddit, you're not going to jump ship and go to YouTube. If you're on YouTube and you're part of a community, are you really there, or are you interested in engaging in long form debate on a forum on YouTube, or are you there to watch content?
I think
it's I don't know.
I've never seen a platform like YouTube with, whether it's a good or a bad thing, so many opinions. And I think having a place to share those.
People do fight in the YouTube comments. They do. And maybe it's to do with that, but I was also just thinking, compared to your Instagrams and your TikToks, Reddit and YouTube skew slightly higher than social platforms would on male users. And what I'm thinking they might be seeing there is a lot of cross-pollination of the demographics. And so they might just be seeing an opportunity to take that demographics attention. Because a lot of people go to YouTube to find narratives and content that is within their interests. You're not leaning really on an algorithm to show you stuff. You're searching, you're trying to find things that are aligned to your opinions, that you can learn more, that you can educate yourself on. And that's a very similar mindset that you would go to Reddit for. But we'll see. We'll see.
Very
it's interesting.
So
highlights. We've got to talk about it. It's controversial. SheerLuxe. So,
yes.
For those that might have been living under a rock, we'll give you an update. SheerLuxe created an AI influencer called Reem. And they posted a day in the life for Reem. And they got a lot of hate for it, to be entirely honest. If we can insert the picture when we're editing this, that'd be really helpful. They got a lot of hate for it. A lot of what is happening here? Please bleep out my explicit language. The reason they were getting hate was actually because the influencer they created was a person of color. And SheerLuxe has been under fire for lack of diversity within their workforce. So I think that's an understandable frustration from people. And they have now actually issued an apology statement. So they said, "Dear readers, since the start of SheerLuxe, innovation has been central to what we do. And as we enter a new era of tech and AI, we wanted to stay at the forefront. So as you'll likely know, we introduced Reem yesterday, and it is clear we didn't explain it properly, and we're sorry. Reem was born entirely from our desire to experiment with AI, not to replace a human role. She was created in partnership with an AI imagery creator from the Middle East that is reflected in her likeness. She is an AI-generated image only and is not able to create content or articles. Her opinions and choices come directly from the diverse team, and we are so proud of it. That we are so proud of at SheerLuxe. No jobs were compromised in any way as a result of her creation, and we would never publish any content that hasn't had a human involvement. We'll keep innovating, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, they did an apology. So it's interesting. There's a couple different things to caveat here. So Reem is not an actual influencer. She is image-based, and anything that she publishes is reflective of the opinions of the SheerLuxe team. Now, you can actually get virtual AI influencers. TikTok have just launched an update. That doesn't seem to be what they're doing here. No. And I think the frustration is that they've made their influencer a person of color when there could be room, or people misunderstood that they'd taken the job away from what could be an actual person of color coming into their business. So I think the need for diversity is absolutely an important one, but what we should kind of focus on here is potentially AI influencers, their place, AI taking jobs from people. Like, where do we kind of sit with this personally?
My personal thought on this is that I kind of, although AI to me is like I've already said, is sort of, I like it and I loathe it at the same time. I think for me, it's kind of the AI influencer piece I understand because it's a bit of a gimmick, and it's like, it's, you know, we're not trying to suggest it's a real person. It's obviously someone who's unreal, and therefore what they do is kind of a novelty, but also incredibly exciting in a way. But this feels very strange to me, the kind of this AI team member, and like the kind of this day in the life of content that they posted, it just feels a bit tone deaf and a bit like just a bit odd.
I think my initial reaction when it was shared in the work Slack channel was, why? Like I didn't understand the purpose of it. Surely
they're not actually the first to do this. Like Pretty Little Thing came out with an AI influencer.
But there's a difference between an AI influencer and an AI team member, someone who is part of your staff, let's say. And I just feel like the content is a bit odd as well. Like some of the shots of like her lunch, you know, or like morning.
Like it was all, there was no.
It's just a bit weird.
I think they just thought it was going to be a cute piece of social content, and they've just got so much backlash from it.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't think it was going to be quite. I mean, she did have an account actually, doesn't she?
Yeah, there is an account. I think we were talking about it just before we started filming it, you know, in terms of the role of having like an AI team member. And I think there is something fun in an AI team member, and having someone or something that is a kind of an AI interpretation of your business or your brand.
So we want to do an AI sheep influencer.
Love it, because
who gives our TikTok audience industry updates. Because I'm not going to lie, guys, sometimes the team members don't want to get on camera for the day. They've come into the office like I have today. They haven't put the effort into their appearance. And they're like, you know, I don't want to be in front of the camera. So if we could get a sheep to do it for us on brand, That makes sense to me.
I love that. And I think that's really fun. And again, it's like it's kind of an interpretation of the brand. It's something that's interesting and novel. I think where and again, this is where in the future it's probably going to be completely commonplace. But right now, this kind of blending of real and AI, that you can't try and get too close to it. If you get too close to the mark,
it makes people feel really uncomfortable.
It does.
I understand why it
uncomfortable.
makes people feel uncomfortable. And it's like there's so much work to do in society.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ready for
No,
AI,
we're not.
to be entirely honest. And I don't think our brains have wrapped around it.
I think we are
enough.
definitely in that stage of people are concerned about AI and the security of their jobs. And doing something like this, mixing that human persona with AI is well, I mean, it's obviously caused issues, hasn't it?
That first image where there's like a selfie with like someone who's presumably real, and then the AI team member. And when I first saw the image, I was like, well, who is who?
Yeah.
Firstly.
Yeah, it's hard. And the other thing is that like there's a completely other conversation around this about like we've gone through this whole journey of like beauty standards on social media. And if we can just create these perfect faces and like perfect bodies that aren't real, that have been created with AI, like what's that going to do for now the younger generation that are growing up with that? Like there's so many things that need to be unpicked that I just don't think as society we've unpicked yet. And then people are just like really uncomfortable with it.
The question is like, who's going to do that job though? Yeah. Who's going to sit down with a round table and put 20 minds in a room and go, how are we going to police this? Or
it feels really unregulated at the moment.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one. You know, where does that come from? Should we do it as a marketing industry? Is it our responsibility? Is it the government's? Is it who is it? Is it Elon Musk? Who does that job?
Bring up Elon. There you go.
Come on. Get on the phone, Elon.
Now, another AI update that we actually do need to talk. Well, it's not an update. And I think this is actually the helpful part of AI, is like platforms like ChatGPT, more of those search-based functionalities that can help people on like a day-to-day basis. We were speaking to a potential new client that came through, and we always ask like, where did you find us? And they said, ChatGPT told me to speak to you. And I was like, okay, all right. Our SEO is working in AI now as well, which we already knew. But it's exciting, but also another element of complexity because there is going to be a race now to be like, who is the brand that's getting suggested and people are talking to AI? If people are going to, instead of searching in Google in 5 years' time, they're going to go and speak to their AI assistant. How do we manage it so that we are coming up for the right search terms or questions that they're asking if we want to be recommended? And equally taking that to our clients, if you are a hotel, how do you make it so that you are the one that is top of this? Oh, you should stay at this hotel if you're going to this city. Or if you're a product, for example.
Again, that's kind of the unknown, isn't it? Like, how would you get in that space? Like, what is the criteria that ChatGPT requires for you to be top of the list in terms of the...
I mean, it's all to do with like web searches and SEO and stuff at the minute, but
it will change, I think, definitely.
It will change, and there's been a lot of conversation as search moves on to other platforms and other attention. At what point, and commerce as well moves off, at what point does web as like a platform of searching become redundant and it's actually just a plethora of data for these other tools to pull from?
Yeah, I think the search evolution is really interesting because, so for example, my brother-in-law, he doesn't use Google, he just uses ChatGPT and asks ChatGPT for everything. That is his now where he goes to for information on everything. And obviously the platforms are already using AI. So Google, all the other platforms, they already use that technology in their search. But I think you're right, that kind of, from what it looks like now to where it's going to be, and that platform and the functionality, I think will completely change in 5 years' time, maybe 2 or 3 years' time. I think because people are already doing it. That behavior already exists.
And I think like when we go for job interviews, there will be questions around like, how efficiently have you changed your chosen like AI life partner? Like how can that increase your efficiency? Because I was having another conversation with someone who says that they speak to ChatGPT. Like they actually have conversations and they've trained it so well to know how they think, to know what they like. And so they'll help them make decisions. Like if they get an email that comes through that they might read in a overly emotional tone, or that might like help like kind of cloud their judgment in responding to it, they'll speak to AI and be like, can you help me write a rational response to this that isn't clouded by my own emotions?
Oh, wow.
Which like...
It's just like, it's literally like the films.
Wally.
Yeah. What's that film about the egg baby that's well, there's a I can't remember her name. It's like it's out on Prime recently, where you can grow your own baby, but externally in an egg.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and they steal one of the pods.
They steal the pod and they go off.
Yeah, and then they lose the charger for it and they can't get. Yeah.
And the whole premises are like, there's AI is built into everything, and they're in their home. She's having conversations with her AI, partner or whatever. And it's so bizarre.
I watched that film on TikTok.
Did you?
Like part 53.
Wow. There you go. TikTok's for everything.
Yeah, like the AI conversation is huge. It's one that we're really looking into. It's even like for us, we've told the team not to use AI for anything unless clients have explicitly given permission to it, because it is storing that data. That data can be used by other people. Like, it's free to everyone to utilize. So there's a lot of privacy concerns around it at the minute. Personally, I do use it for some things, if I'm being fully transparent, but I'm very mindful of what I put into it.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to become a massive part of their lives. And like, it already is. Like, people just don't realize it. When people are talking to Siri or they're talking to their Alexas, it's AI. Like, it's training. It knows you. Like, it knows what you're going to ask for. When we manage our paid media campaigns, we're utilizing AI to do a lot of our bid strategies and stuff. It's already so much more a part of our lives than the day-to-day consumer realizes it. It's all just becoming a little bit more real and in front of our faces.
That's the thing. It's becoming more prominent, and AI was being used, or has been used, as a kind of behind the scenes tool, and now it's the front facing tool. Yeah. It's you're having interaction with AI rather than a platform that's using AI.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. How do you guys feel about it? Do you feel like it's going to take your job?
Sam?
Not currently. No, I think we're touch wood, pretty safe. I think that human connection is just the one thing it can never replace.
Yeah, I do think it will take certain parts of what you guys do in terms of project management and things like that. I think that will come off of it. But to be honest, I think it's just going to push humans to become, it sounds so cringy, but like more elite in what they can only do. So those conversations, so those tactics. Although part of what you guys do is, this is so crude to say, but selling in some shape or form. And they've come up with, they've made AI so smart that it would be able to convince anyone of anything. And so the government is now actually trying to put laws around persuasive AI, because it's basically, they've created something so smart that it could convince anyone to do anything.
Wow.
Which is wild.
Madness.
But so I do think ignore that. That's kind of an offside point. And also, I don't know if that will ever be allowed to actually come into the world. Like, everyone's just making these like mad moves.
Okay, I'll do that.
It's giving iRobot.
Exactly.
But I do think that there will be efficiencies that can be made from the rules.
I think that's it.
Which is a good
you
thing.
incorporate it. It's not going to replace. It's going to assist, I think, is the way to look at it.
I also think it will enable deeper interaction and connection between humans, because if you know that those elements are being done by AI, by artificial intelligence, you place more importance on those bits that are being done by real humans.
Yes.
So I think that's the benefit potentially, is that we seek those kind of deeper connections. And we value them more. Yeah.
I saw a TikTok the other day and it was going through like the same outfit from like the 1500s all the way up to like 3000.
Wow.
And it literally, the way they designed the future outfits literally was like wearable tech and like all of this stuff. And like, do we think that like that's how we'll dress? Like, will we have eyeglasses?
I think it makes a lot of sense to, if we're not going to put like, so from my point of view, when you say wearable tech, I'm thinking like health devices, things that can like, it makes so much sense to have clothing that supports you as a life form.
That's it. Yeah.
Like, I think from a health perspective and keeping a track on, your vital signs, all that kind of stuff makes so much sense. But my kind of, I guess, open question is, what else could you do with wearable tech? Like, could you wear shoes that speed you up? Like, when could you run?
They already exist.
You know what I mean? I think that's really interesting. Like, what else is possible?
I mean, if you look at, Apple Watch has been out for however many years now. That does exactly that.
If you could take what an Apple Watch does, right? This is the question: would you put tech in your body? Would you put a chip in your wrist?
I see the benefit,
No.
right? So let's say there's a medical reason that you need something put into you, and it's actually going to transfigure your life. Absolutely, like I'm behind that as from a kind of moral standpoint. But I think it's going to be. I think we'll get to a point where that technology is available for some, but not everyone. And if you are wealthy enough to be able to afford all these elite bits that you can put into your body, we're going to start to see this almost like the haves and the have-nots. And the haves are going to be walking around with all this stuff in their body, and they could like walk
with a higher life expectancy because they've got access. Yeah.
So that might be like where it goes. Because again, this tech is not going to be developed by governments. It'll be developed by private companies seeking to make profit with shareholders, and therefore
because even outside of wearable tech now, there's like NAD therapy, which like the rich and famous have been doing for years and stuff like that. And we're going off on a complete tangent here. But I can see what you're saying in terms of it could further divide like a class system.
Yeah. Again, that's why I think back to the point around AI in general and who's having those conversations. Like the people we need to have, governmental but plus industry conversations about where this technology is going and where, I'm sure that it's already happening, right? I'm sure these conversations are already happening.
No, but I think people do need to be more informed of it. Like we're looking at trying to get a generative AI specialist into the business to come and speak to everyone so that we're better clued up. And that's from like a professional perspective, but also a personal perspective too. Like I think it can be unsettling whenever you get into these conversations, and sometimes people I just don't want to talk about it because they don't understand it enough. No, it's overwhelming. And actually we need to fight through that, and we need to understand how this is going to impact our lives, our profession. How do we need to pivot?
I think especially in our role when we've got clients looking at us to lead those conversations, right? Like you've got people coming to you, how is this going to affect X, Y, and Z? We need to know the answers to that.
So we've rushed to ChatGPT.
That's it. Exactly.
How is this going to explain what you do?
Should we ask ChatGPT? Actually, I'm so intrigued.
Go on, ask the question. How, out of interest, how do you use, like both of you, how do you use ChatGPT on a day-to-day basis? Like, for example, for myself, like if we're struggling with copy, right? If we're trying to write a copy line and we've got different iterations of it and it's not quite working, I'll sometimes go to ChatGPT and say, condense this or use this phrase, but give me 10 different versions and condense it into 4 words to make it really short and snappy. Like, how do you guys,
I use it very similarly to that, and like I'll help it with like little bits of like email copy here and there. I never take what ChatGPT says and like copy paste it, but it helps like refine sometimes. I'll use it sometimes to ask questions too, but you probably use Google more for that still at the minute. But yeah.
What about you, Sam?
Relatively similar, to be honest. It's rephrasing, refining.
It's checking and editing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not. I wouldn't take anything it says as gospel. I don't think I'm quite trusting of it that much yet. But yeah, who knows in the next 12 months where it will go, and it might become, more day to day,
Okay, I've asked ChatGPT what roles will AI replace in a social media agency in the next 5 years. It is typing. It said, in the next 5 years, AI expected to increasingly replace or augment various roles within social media agencies. For example, content creation. Role, social media content creator. We've got a few of those. Impact, AI tools like GPT-4 and DALL-E, which we already use actually for storyboarding, can generate text and visual content, reducing need for human creators for routine posts, captions, and simple designs. AI can assist in brainstorming ideas and producing content at scale.
What would be interesting is if AI does become, from a content creation perspective, becomes the norm, like how do we as a business monetize that? Like, do we have 2 different offerings? Do we have a real team offering and an AI team offering?
Interesting.
Like, because that's bizarre.
Content curation and scheduling. That makes sense. I have no issue with it. Actually. I don't think the team do either. Customer service, so they can handle common customer queries, take notes in meetings, escalate complex issues to human agents. So,
question on scheduling though. We've had in the past, and occasionally in any agency, any social media agency, you have a slip up and a post goes out that is not supposed to go out. What happens if you don't treat your AI well enough and you disrespect them? And,
stop it!
And then
I don't think AI
and then the AI goes,
feelings.
I'm going to post this post on this platform where it's not been approved.
Yeah.
But that is like,
Suddenly it's-
can AI develop
Could that
feelings at some
happen?
point?
Yeah.
Mutiny.
I mean, surely. If they can do everything else, surely they can develop
Yeah.
a response to like how we treat them, right?
Exactly.
Data analysis and reporting, the ad targeting, it's already doing that. Influencer identification and management. It's all kind of the stuff that we would expect, to be honest. We're already using for it, but there's still that element of like human understanding. And like when there's certain things when we're optimizing ads, we choose not to use the AI version because it doesn't understand some of the context that we have behind it.
Yeah.
So until it can actually start making more informed decisions
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Of all those roles you just read out, there was no decision maker.
No, it was all very.
There was no decision.
top line.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of do bits like that in like the ads managers with like rules and stuff. Like if this, do this. But a human still has to be there to create the rule.
Yeah.
So I think it's just we'll just have to step up, become more strategic, which is good because we like that. But yeah, I've got a full report here. I'll download it and send it to the team. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Cool. Anything else to add? What have you guys got going on for the next week? It's busy at the minute. We've got, for some reason, a lot of our clients, all of our clients are recontracting, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
But it all lands for some reason around this time of year.
Yeah.
It's like school season.
June, July, August, doesn't it? Yeah, I guess it just comes back to financial year and end and everything else. But we're pretty busy at the moment. There's a lot of different things going on. Lots of client projects, and obviously, as you say, recontracting, which takes a bit of time in terms of just working with our clients on the best solutions for the next financial year and hopefully kind of longer. All very exciting.
Yeah, there's loads of really good stuff going on. And like we've got so many developments going on in the agency. We've just opened our London hub. We're enhancing our creative offering. Yeah. So it's very busy. And Jack and I are getting ready to take the longest break we've ever taken from the business.
I was going to say, how are you feeling about that?
Fine. It's questionable though, because like past me makes decisions that present me has to deal with.
Yeah.
So we have 4 weeks left of work. I'm spending 2 of them in the US.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great. I need to go and spend time with the US team, but going to the US 2 whole weeks before 4 weeks before your wedding, all my friends are like, you're insane.
Yeah, that is fair play.
But I'm excited. I think I'm really excited to go out and see the US team and spend a bit of time with them.
Well, they've had really exciting news recently. Lots of things happening.
Loads of new clients,
some of their
lots of
clients
pitches
are really
going on, and they're only a little team, so they're doing a really good job. I'm super proud of them.
Little lamb, New York lamb up there.
Yeah.
Got a big sheep back here.
Yeah.
Sam, what have you got going on in the next week?
Yeah, lots of campaigns coming in. So some big things going on for certain clients. Got a really big project kicking off tail end of this year. That'll be a good 6 to 9 months throughout 2025. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest one I've worked on yet, actually.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Yeah.
Lots of planning at the moment.
Yeah. And I'm going to do our, if you're not ready for Q4, get ready for Q4 company meeting over the next couple of weeks as well.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you work in marketing and you don't know what you're doing for Q4, please, for the
Get
love
on
of God, sort it out.
Get on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year was pretty mad.
It was.
It was.
I mean, the
That's
thing
one
is
word
that,
for
like, particularly when it comes to the revenue that businesses are expected to make. Last year, it was everyone just decided to go earlier.
Yeah.
So everyone was going, we weren't planning on going until like the 17th of November. And it's like they use the word go, and that just means discount season because it's like around Black Friday. And they're like, we're going 2 weeks earlier because our competitors all did. And we're like,
That's the thing.
Right, okay.
Which means they're going to go earlier again this year.
Yeah, well, I'm doing some research
Definitely.
as to what we can anticipate to see. It's hard to know though, and like
it's really difficult.
last year, like every single year is a bit of a different economic situation for consumers, and after a general election, we tend to see a little bit more of an economic boom in sort of favor of that. I don't know if we're a little bit late on in the election to see that come out for this year, but definitely next year.
Yeah.
I think it'll have an effect, definitely.
Yeah.
Just like general sentiment and people's moods, like definitely,
But yeah, so we'll have a Q4 podcast coming out very
Bring it
soon. Watch this space.
Yeah.
But on that note, thank you very much for listening, watching. Please like, subscribe, follow us. These podcasts come out every Tuesday now, where we can give you all of the updates and you can hear us have a natter as to what's going on in the agency. But we'll love you and leave you, and thanks for watching.